Many of you have requested my opinion on do's and don'ts at the gym, and I know that this is a sensitive topic. So in this video, I'm gonna tell you about deadlifting and why I think it's not the greatest idea you can have. But again, as always, when I publish a controversial video, my goal is to make you think, not to make you conclude. You conclude whatever you want, but I just want you to conclude on the basis of diversified points of view. In this video, I will start with general considerations and then we're going to move to some practical do's and don'ts in terms of posture. At a general level, the first thing I'd like you to think about is, well, what is the goal? Is the goal to be as strong as you can or as strong as you should? Yeah? In other words, your needs as an office worker are not the same as your need as a fireman or as a paramedic. And therefore, as building up strength is building up strain, how much do you really need to strain your body for living a healthy life? Of course, you should not see this as a savings account that you have so much strain to consume over a lifetime, and the quicker you consume it, the quicker you're dead. No, that's not the idea, because the more you train your body, the more you build your capital. But there's a limit to it, because building up your capital works for a while, and then you switch to another pattern, which is burning your health capital. And somehow this touches another important topic, which is a huge debate between posture specialists, is strength a predictor for health? Well, I know many people who are super strong and who misuse their body day in and day out. Having strong muscles does not mean that you use them well, because using them well is understanding the user manual of the human body, and that has nothing to do with muscle strength. It has to do with education and brain works. That was point number one. Now, point number two. My specialty is the prevention and the treatment of musculoskeletal disorders, which are overuse disorders or cumulative disorders. And in the concept of accumulation, you have the concept of a limit, which is intrinsically built in it. The glass cannot overflow if it does not have a limit. Therefore, there are limits to what you can do with your body. We hate the concept of limits, myself included, but Mother Nature does not leave us any choice. Have a look at this, which is the recommended weight limits in Switzerland and more or less everywhere. They are depending on your age and on your gender. But what's written in small letters, which I haven't translated here, is the fact that these weight limits apply for activities which are done once in a while with a good grip in a neutral posture held close to your body. So you see, there are a number of limitations. And whenever you deviate from a neutral posture, which is holding the load close to your belly button, you have to apply a multiplication factor. And you see that for weights that are close to you but lower than your knees, this multiplication factor is 0.4, 40%. So take 25 kilos if you're a man between 20 and 35 and multiply it by 0.4 and you get 10 kilograms. So basically, the maximum recommended weight to be lifted under your knees is 10 kilograms, i.e. when you deadlift with a weight of 80 to 100 kilograms, you're 8 to 10 times above the recommended limit. I don't mind, do what you want, but if you do so with the aim to protect your health, there should be a seriously good reason for exceeding the limit by a factor 8 to 10. So you see, I have many friends in the fitness industry, but none of them has ever been able to give me a really good reason why it's great for your health to train with such crazy rates. I don't see the point, and I don't see the health benefits on the long run. That's why actually I'm a martial arts guy. I prefer martial arts because they will teach you how to use your body in different random situations. For those who want to look at that, I practice Systema, and that has influenced a lot what I do both in the clinical practice and in my in-company trainings. Now, after this boring introduction and playing the grumpy old man, I'd like to just show you 3 things that are, in my opinion, very relevant if you want to deadlift properly. Clearly, the key areas are how well you control your back and how well you can clad your body. What is the point of cladding? The point of cladding is to understand that you can take a great posture, yeah, sure, no problem, but if you want these postures to be sustained despite an external load, you need to stiffen the joints, and stiffening the joint is done by contracting the muscles. And you see, this is where the trick is on the one hand you need to contract your muscles for, say, preserving the shape of your body, i.e. the pressure in the joints. On the other hand, you need to move your body. So you need to contract your muscles, but you also need to change their length, which is the opposite of contraction. And this is why it's so difficult. And that's why when you combine this difficulty with weight, you quickly run into trouble. The 3 key areas are the following. They are knees, lower back, and neck, shoulders. The first area is on your knees. If you want your body to be strong on the ground, your weight needs to be on your 2 feet, right under the arch of the foot. And we know from posture rule number 1, CF my book if you haven't downloaded it yet, that your back should be flat. So basically I want my back to be flat and my weight to remain under the arch of the 2 feet. Let's see how far I can go. You see, below here I can't go, because if I go lower than this, my back will get round, or to keep it flat, I will have to take my heels off the floor, meaning that I'm just going to be on my toes. As a result, the limit for bending down is actually somewhere around here. And you see that here, my hands are at the level of my knees. So whenever you deadlift below your knees, there will be a mismatch. Now there's another thing there that you need to understand, is that when the muscles are long or short, they're weaker than when they're in their neutral length. Meaning that here, the knee extensors here are getting longer and therefore weaker, which is the reason why you saw in the second graph that the weight that you can carry close to the ground is less than the weight that you can carry at belly button level. Area number 2 is your lower back. There are also 2 things that you need to master. One thing is your ability to tilt your pelvis without shifting it forward. Yeah? And you see that the angle of the pelvis will determine if you have a hollow back like I have now, if you have a flat back, or if you have a round back. And here we're talking about posture rule number 1, in which I state that the back needs to be flat, i.e. in the middle, so that your weight and the load that you carry are distributed across the tissues. So the 2 things you need to master is 1, pelvic tilt. You need to be able to do this movement perfectly well without shifting your pelvis back and forth. And 2, you need to be able to do a flat back flexion. You see? And this flat back flexion is not only something related to the coordination between your pelvis and your back, it's also related to how well you can hold your mid back, because under the effect of gravity, it will tend to slump. So this is the job of your lower trapezius, latissimus dorsi, and thoracic spine extensors. In other words, as long as you cannot do a perfect flat back flexion without any weight, you shouldn't deadlift. Note that my lower abs under the navel, under the belly button, are drawn inwards so as to increase the pressure in the abdominal cavity and thereby reduce the strain in the back. Area number 3, neck and shoulders. There are some variants of the deadlift which are looking forward. Don't do that. You see that you're contracting your neck, putting a lot of pressure on the cervical spine. Don't do this. Look at 90 degrees from your spine. But there's something else with that. we have discussed about slumping, which also has an impact on your neck and shoulder area. But there's also something to do with the position of your hands. Whenever your palms are facing backwards, you'll see that your collarbones have a tendency to shift forward like this. Yeah? This is round shoulder posture. And actually you see it when people walk on the street and you can see the back of their hands, there will always be round shoulder posture. What's neutral is when this is facing forward. And you see that this would not allow you to grip a bar. What I see is that people have one hand facing back, one hand facing forward. The result of that is that your left collarbone will have a greater tendency than the other one to move forward, and to avoid that, you will have to hold it back using the lower trapezius left more than the other one. But the lower trapezius attaches also to the vertebrae, and as it will be more strained on the left, it will exert a greater pull on the left side of the spine. So this means asymmetric strain on your back. Now, can you fix it? I don't think so, because if your two hands would be in the same position, i.e. facing backwards, when you would lift, you would spread your elbows, and that would create massive chance of tendinitis here, plus round shoulders. And if you go the other way around, at some point you need to use your biceps assisted by your mid-back muscles, and this means that you need to have extremely strong biceps. And well, just look at the structure of your body. Everybody's legs are much bigger than the arms, and there's a reason for that. There are more muscle fibers. So you see, asking your two legs to do the job and then asking your two biceps to do the same job, this is not foreseen by Mother Nature. Hence, this last point is one of the reasons why, in my opinion at least, deadlifts are per se not physiological.